What's going on, everyone? Welcome to RSA 2025. We are on the showroom floor, and I have two great guests with me. I have Yuval Wollman, who is the president at CyberProof, and also Dave Ruedger, who is the BISO for product security at Precisely. Tell us a little bit about CyberProof for anyone that hasn't been exposed to the brand yet.
CyberProof is a cybersecurity solution company. We support large enterprises, customers. We work closely to provide visibility. What do I have in my organization? I've acquired a lot of products over time. Am I secured? How can I be better protected?
Right.
This is what we do.
Love it. And what about you? What in your role as BISO?
Yeah.
What goes into that?
So we have a fairly federated security model at Precisely. And Precisely does a data integrity suite that includes a lot of things like govern, data quality, data enrichment, location services, a lot of things that help make data more valuable and accurate. And so I head up all of product, and that means everything from our on-prem installations, off-the-shelf software to full cloud, whether we're hosting it or it's a full SaaS.
Love it. So we're here to talk about some of the big challenges that teams are facing in security. From your standpoint, what is the biggest challenges that you're experiencing over at CyberProof for your customers?
So security leaders would ask themselves, am I protected? Or what the hell is going on in my organization? I've acquired so many products, licenses, I have many partnerships, a lot of vendors. Am I protected? I'm keep being asked by the board members or C-suite peers, and I need to give good answers.
Right.
And what am I doing about those answers as well? So that's a very good framing of the problem, casting shadow over security leaders.
And what about from your perspective, David?
Doing product is pretty challenging when you have a really wide breadth of coverage for the overall product stack. I'd say top of mind for us is always going to be incident response, how well we can respond to risk in real time. And then, one of our main charters for product is to try to shift left as much as possible.
Right.
So sometimes that means doing things in-house. A lot of times it means working with folks like CyberProof who can help augment our staff, provide additional services so we have breadth of coverage across the entire globe, right? When we think about protecting product, though, it's so varied. You have source code, you have where it's deployed, so there's infrastructure. You then have things like open source software, which is huge, right? Because you can get vulnerabilities, and then from your overall product stack, it really makes it challenging because you don't actually control the code. Right. So a lot of what we're looking at is how do we reduce that risk and have a fairly strong footprint for how we do product in general. Our customers demand it, right? And then we demand similar things from our partners to make sure that we're at least managing the risk as much as possible.
I was just at an organization recently. It was a MSSP, and I went into their SOC. There was no one in there. And it was a retired SOC essentially, and I thought, oh my goodness, like this is the future. This is where we're at now, and I think cloud security plays a big role into that. So, what is the current state of SecOps teams and cloud security from your standpoint, Yuval?
We're going through a revolution. The age of AI is here, and we need to look at that from security operation perspective, but from every other perspective as well, as a tool.
Yeah,
it's not a goal; it's a tool. How do you leverage your own proprietary IP with Agentic AI, very relevant also to what Dave's company is doing, but also how do you work with existing engines, existing products, make sense out of that, and provide the service on top of that. So services in AI era is a very interesting path that we're taking at CyberProof. And I'm always saying what we do best in line of business of CyberProof is to provide trust, to be the trustworthy advisor.
Right.
So we need to do that even more in a revolutionary era as we're in right now.
Yeah, and I think that the call out to AI is pretty spot on, right? We're seeing a lot of it here at RSA right now. Things are going agentic, right? So we're starting to see AI being deployed in a way where it's acting on behalf of humans. What I've always said is AI is a tool, just like Yuval says. It's not designed to effectively eliminate the workforce. It's really designed to augment and make your workforce way more efficient. So we're obviously looking at every opportunity to streamline, both in cost and in terms of overall productivity, but AI certainly is going to be a huge part of that, whether that's helping a SOC analyst to triage a particular threat, or if it's part of the back end for workflow to close that window of opportunity for any threat actor.
Just to connect the dots, I think that we mentioned earlier that visibility is so important, and I want to connect that to security operations, because when I look at my organization trying to understand how much am I exposed, where am I exposed,
Right.
then you need to act on it. This is where security operations steps in. And this is why agentic AI could be extremely relevant and generate all the ROI that you want to get out of those tools you invested in. This is where CyberProof and leaders like Dave, this is where we're working to make sense out of that.
Love it. When I was here about 4 years ago at RSA, AI was a taboo word to say. People were getting mad, but now they expect it and they're craving it. But some of the security leaders that I've spoken to, they said that they don't necessarily trust it in their security operations yet. What is you all's, perspective on the current state of AI adoption? Are we adopting it, or are we just getting excited by it?
I think we're actually adopting it and being excited by it because of what it can do, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do have to have really good governance over the use of AI, right? So for example, when ChatGPT first came out, everyone started using it and didn't realize that this was an opportunity to lose data, right? You could risk your own confidential intellectual property. You might be even leaking customer data inadvertently if you're not careful. So I think that folks like us that are really embracing the AI technology are trying to do it in a very kind of risk-conscious way, right? So as long as you have that level of view that this does have a potential to be dangerous if it's not well controlled or well defined, I think more and more companies are going to start leveraging AI, especially in the security operations space, for that reason.
Yeah.
I would say that accuracy is a short-term problem. Right now, we have to follow governance, make sure we're compliant. But over time, you see an exponential development of the accuracy. Over time, I think the more you invest now in building the right use cases, the improvement that we will see will make it smoother as we move forward within a couple of years even. So we are in a revolutionary phase, and we need to acknowledge that and make sure that we keep the gaps until it's being completed.
Looking at CyberProof having MDR capabilities, I would imagine that the opportunity is most ripe for you when it comes to AI from a security perspective. If you were to speak at an organization, they want to experiment, where would you recommend them to start experimenting with AI?
I think that our focus is to find the right automated use cases that can generate an immediate value to the security leaders, because they have acquired sometimes expensive licenses. Why did I do that? What's the ROI on that? So if we can build jointly, and this is what we love to do with our customers, and we work on that with Dave and others, to find the right use case that would create the business case with that investment that will be successful. And we're doing that. Specifically at CyberProof, we are working closely with the hyperscalers, so whether it's Google or Microsoft and others, we're working very closely with our product teams to make sure that we have found the right use cases, and we have somewhat triangular relationship of co-innovation with the customer on one hand, with the hyperscalers and our teams to create the business case for that investment.
Yeah, and I think in general, one of the fallacies that we heard kind of early on was like AI would replace people, right? It's really not the case. What it does is it makes people better at what they do. It's more efficiencies, it's optimization. Anyone that's looking to adopt it, clearly, if you have repeatable process, things that are taking a lot of time for an individual that is fairly manual, there's your opportunity, right? And when you start looking at that across the entire security landscape, there's a lot of opportunity. There's security operations, running a SOC, there's compliance activities, third-party risk management potentially has a play there too. So I think if you come at it from that perspective, it makes more sense of how you can adopt quickly and early because you've got the right use cases.
Everything that Dave said also points out to the labor market that is being disrupted. And it's very relevant to cybersecurity talent because there is constant scarcity. And to keep our talent excited and retained, we need to show a path. So a simple triage soon will be done by Agentic AI. What's next for that talent? How can I develop? And I am being enhanced as a security operation analyst by those AI tools so I can see a better career path for me. That resolves a lot of problems in managing vendors, but also in-house team in companies.
Yeah, in my circle, we've often joked, it's like AI is not going to replace the human, but that person will be replaced by someone who is using AI.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. You know, we love certainty. I think AI gives us a level of certainty, but right now with the federal government, there's shakeups that are happening, and I think it's making a lot of industries a little nervous. Have you both heard anything from the private sector, the feeling that uncertainty or affecting their security teams?
So I can tell that it doesn't affect directly companies, technology companies such as CyberProof, but on the other hand, it affects our customers, and that is not good. We need our customers to be happy and grow.
Yes.
Whether it's retail or manufacturing or shipping companies, they are being shaken and disrupted. Their markets are being disrupted. This is a global problem that maybe starts in one place, but has effect globally, and it slows the sales cycle. It slows the decision making, slows the budgets. Huge disruption to the market, including cybersecurity.
We had a big scare, about a week ago, right? With the CVE database potentially not being funded by the federal government. It sent some pretty big shockwaves throughout the private sector. Now, granted, we got a 12-month reprieve, but I think this is very top of mind for everyone that is not in the public sector, that we probably do need to do a better job. If one thing it showed us was that we have a security supply chain, clearly, which is the vulnerabilities that we all rely on to try to quantify risk. So if we don't have the adequate support from the government, well, we as an industry and the security community, we need to step up. And so I think the central message that I've heard in the past couple of days is that collaboration between public sector and private sector is more important now than ever. And we probably have a very short window of time to kind of figure out what we're going to do as an industry to help each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Being at RSA, I feel like it's all about leaving behind nuggets of information. That's why a lot of us are here, or to talk about our great companies. But for the security leaders that are here at the show, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give them to have a bit of a better grasp on their security program?
Take a step back. Don't rush into, buying the shining objects on the shelf. Make sure that you have a trusted advisor that you can walk through that process with, because the wave of agentic AI or AI will not pass, but will move on, and then you can identify where you can really extract value or where it's a waste of your money and time.
For me, I would say it's don't go it alone.
Yeah.
Right? We have a big community. The more you interact with your peers, the more you're going to learn about common problems. Like, it's not just your pain. A lot of people experience the same things.
Right.
So having that ability to engage with other leaders and see what's working, what's not working, what's new, right? This is a very fluid environment. It changes rapidly. So yeah, don't try to be a superhero.
Don't go at it alone, and have a trusted advisor. I think that's sound advice. Yuval, David, I wanted to thank you for taking some time out of your busy RSA and chat with us for a few minutes. But super excited for everyone to have a great show. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to check out CyberProof. They are a great partner, and they have a great MDR capabilities and other services. And you can learn more by going to the description or show notes wherever you're listening or watching.